And joining us from the space station are Commander Reid Wiseman and Mission Commander Dr. Steve Swanson. Gentlemen, it is a marvelous thing to be able to connect with you in this way. Tell me, can you give me some sense of where you are right now over the Earth?
Yes, we can. Right now, we're over the Pacific Ocean. And of course, our Earth is mostly water, 70%, so we spend about 70% of our time over water.
And the station's traveling at what speed?
We're going about 17,500 miles an hour, and we're about 260 miles above Earth's surface.
And I'm told that that's about 11 times faster than a rifle bullet. That's pretty impressive stuff, even in this day and age. You know, Commander Wiseman, let me ask you, before you were born, it was my life's ambition to be an astronaut, so tell me what I'm missing.
Oh, I don't think we have enough time on this program to give you all the basics, but I would say, without a doubt, the view out the window is way beyond what I ever dreamed it would be. And I got to say, as a kid, you always want to float everywhere you go. And up here, it's just no problem. You just float on down to the bathroom, float on over to the window, float down to the dinner table, and really, it's better than you could ever think.
That looks like a lot of fun. You know, Dr. Swanson, let me ask you, what is the mission that you're doing? It's not all fun and games.
No, you're right. We like to have fun, but our main mission is science up here. We perform over 170 experiments while we're up here, and of course we have to maintain the station and keep it running efficiently and smoothly.
And how's the station doing after all these years?
Well, it's doing pretty well, but just like any ship, it needs its periodic maintenance, and so things do fail. And I actually like doing the fixing part of this work, so we get to do that once in a while, and sometimes we even get to go outside and fix things. So we always like that.
Commander Wiseman, let me ask you a couple of questions about all this tweeting that you've been doing. You've really caught on in the social media world with all these pictures you've been sending out. What are a couple of your favorite pictures that you've tweeted?
Well, certainly so far, coming up over the coast of Chile and seeing the volcanic field that I saw there, that was really spectacular. And then just this morning, we came over the northern coast of Australia, and I was in the cupola with Dr. Swanson, and we just looked down. The way the clouds and the red desert met the ocean, from up here, the view was absolutely spectacular, and it's burned in my mind, and I'm never going to forget this morning.
When you first stepped aboard the station, what did you think? You're one of the most enthusiastic astronauts we've seen in a while.
There was about 1,000 thoughts running through my head. First and foremost, was awesome to come through the hatch and give this guy a hug because we've been friends for quite a while. So it was great to see Steve up here. But really, I think the thing, it's like driving a car at 80 miles an hour into a brick wall. You're just overwhelmed. You've trained for 2 to 5 years for this mission, and then you get on board the space station, and your world is not like you thought it would be. 0 G, nothing works the way your mind wants it to work, and it's just, you're so overwhelmed, at least for the first 2 or 3 days, that it's hard to wrap your head around what all is going on.
One of my favorite pictures you sent was the picture of the red dye as it was floating in space. Tell me about that.
Well, my grandfather, I don't know why, but he would always just give me these red playing dye when I was a kid, and playing dice. And I loved them as a kid, and I've always kept a handful of them in my jewelry chest at home. And right before I left, I threw a few of them in a Ziploc bag, and I brought them with me. And I don't know why that picture worked so well. It's just really neat to see that crisp red dye against the blackness of space with our Earth under it. I think the playing dye is something that everybody can kind of relate to. So it's like a little toy up there floating around that everybody can imagine, but it's in this completely foreign environment. And I think that's why that picture is so spectacular.
Do you guys get a crafts game going once in a while?
It would be hard for I think we would throw the dice and they would just keep going all the way down to the Russian segment. So we might have to work on that one this weekend.
Dr. Swanson, you've been outside in a spacesuit working on repairs on the station. What is that like, to be outside that spacecraft?
It's another great experience, and with many different emotions, too, when you do that. Of course, again, just like looking out the window at our cupola, probably the biggest one is the view. And again, it's just you and this helmet with a visor, and you can see everything now without any obstructions. And that just view is fantastic in itself. And then the work you have to do is quite difficult usually, and so you really have to concentrate on that, and that makes you a little bit nervous just because the pressure, I think, on you at that point, and then the fact that you're in your own little spacesuit in the vacuum of space also adds a little more pressure to the whole situation. But overall, it's a great experience.
You know, I'm curious, Commander Wiseman, how do you tweet from there? I take it you don't have a smartphone on you.
No, there is no smartphone, but if I see something that I really like, I actually send it down to some of our folks at NASA in Houston, and they go on to Twitter and post that for me. So I'm basically using email as a conduit to get these tweets out there. It's really the only way to do it. If I had to log onto the internet every time, I would spend 90% of my day trying to get onto Twitter, and the other 10% work. And in reality, it's about 99% work and 1% taking good pictures out the window.
And finally, Dr. Swanson, tell me a little bit about the mission going forward. How long are you going to be there, and what will you be doing?
I leave on September 10th. Reid has another 2 months after that up here. Our mission right now, hopefully we're going to get another cargo vehicle called Cygnus or Orbital 2, hopefully soon, and that will bring us supplies and more science to do. At the same time, we are probably going to go do some spacewalks to repair some equipment that is broken outside. We're still waiting on how that's all going to work out timing-wise. We also will have an ATV, which is a European transfer vehicle, coming in August, along with a SpaceX, which again has more science and more cargo on it. So we have a multitude of cargo vehicles, plus some spacewalks, plus lots of science. It's going to be a fun time.
Come on now, admit it. You look forward to things breaking on the outside so you can step out, don't you?
How many spacewalks have you done, Steve?
5.
All right, so he has 5 spacewalks and I have 0. And as a NASCAR fan, I have to say I'm kind of looking forward to something breaking on the outside.
And tell me about the treadmill for a minute. That's a great picture.
Oh, you go.
I think the thing with I still am not really on good terms with the treadmill. I'm hoping we're going to be in a nice relationship soon. But at 0G, everything inside you is floating. Everything in your stomach's floating. And for the first 2 or 3 days, you don't have to do any workouts at all. You just kind of adjust to 0G. But then on that 3rd, 4th day, you got to start getting on the treadmill, have to start doing some exercise. And that first time on the treadmill, it was like I had a bowling ball in my stomach, and it was bouncing on places that you've never felt food bounce before in your stomach. And I ran for about 1 minute, and I went and grabbed Steve. I'm like, Steve, what is this I'm feeling? Is this normal? Because I felt like I was falling apart inside. And he said, yeah, just keep running. It'll be fine. Don't worry. And sure enough, after the first 2 or 3 times, it's become easier and easier, but I'm still not a big fan.
Well, Naval Commander Reid Wiseman to port and Dr. Stephen Swanson, the mission commander to starboard. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Great to be with you. Thank you so much for taking the time with us.
It's been our pleasure. Thank you, Scott.
Station, this is CBS in New York. This is Tim Brown from CBS This Morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you just taking a couple minutes here. We'll probably use a lot of what Scott said to you, but I just had a couple follow-up questions for you, if that's okay.
No problem. We're ready.
Great. So, Commander Swanson, question for you. When you started, when you started the mission here, the purpose was initially what when you started?
The purpose of the mission is science up here. And I did start back in March, the end of March. So I've been here about 2.5 months and performed lots of science. And we did a spacewalk to repair a piece of equipment on board. And since then, everything's been going pretty smoothly. But we're looking forward to maybe something else breaking, but also doing our science.
Yes, and Reid, question for you. Are you aware of sort of the celebrity that you have achieved back here just via all your sort of stunning photos that you've posted to Twitter and Flickr and all the other social media websites?
My wife's been keeping me up to speed on some of the news clippings, but absolutely astonishing to me. I certainly did not set out for any of that. I just wanted to share kind of my first impressions up here for the first week or two of what it's like to be a rookie on the space station. And really, that was my goal. And apparently it struck a chord, so that's pretty neat.
That's great. And just one last question for you. What do you hope to achieve with this sort of captive audience that you've attained through all of your pictures?
Really, just to kind of maintain, I wouldn't say reawaken, but just the magic of spaceflight and putting a human into such a foreign place. And this really is a foreign place. Everything is just unusual up here. The view, the living, the way we work, the way we eat. And if I could just capture a little of that and spark some imagination in some folks around the world, back in the U.S. in particular, then that's mission accomplished for me.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Take care.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.